Yo, what's going on, everybody? Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in to Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, Dane Brugler, one of the top NFL draft analysts, dropped a recent mock draft. So we'll share with you guys his pick for the Minnesota Vikings. And also Mel Kiper dropped his big board about a week ago, so I do want to dive into some of the top names that the Minnesota Vikings could draft. But first off, Quezzy and his crew can't control another draft. This is the worst drafting GM and staff in the entire National Football League. It has been a disgrace what they have done over the last couple of years, and the fact they aren't fired yet shows a lack of accountability within the Vikings organization. Ownership group does not care. Anything can happen. I mean, could you imagine at your own job? Like, imagine producer Dylan of the show. Imagine if Dylan just showed up to work every single week and just screwed up over and over and over again, and there was no accountability. What would happen? Dylan would probably get fired, but that's not the case with Dylan. Dylan kills it, but still, that's just an example. Like, imagine your own job. If you show up every single week and you just screw up over and over and over again, and hey, job security, it's not a real thing in the Vikings organization. Everybody's good. It's all sunshine and rainbows. So we'll talk about this draft here in a second, but you guys let me know your thoughts. Who's the dream draft target for your Minnesota Vikings? Let me know that name down below in the comments section. You guys let me know your thoughts. I got a couple of guys here, but also depends if the Vikings are going to run the football. So you guys let me know your thoughts. Who's your dream Vikings draft target? All right, so Dane Brugler, one of the best NFL draft analysts in the game, had the Vikings drafting Notre Dame running back Jeremiyah Love. Now, Jeremiyah Love's a hell of a player. He is the best player in college football, in my opinion. I think he's carried that Notre Dame team this year, and I think he would be a true, like, blue-chip, star-caliber running back. Like, I would have no doubt of, him not working out in the NFL or him not being a top 10 running back from day one in the National Football League, but it also depends on our head coach if he's going to change his philosophy. But this is what Dane Brugler had to say, saying like Downs, talking about Caleb Downs. Love is one of the best players in the draft, but his positional value will limit his landing spots in the top half of round one. Here, that just means the Vikings get value by adding the draft's most explosive offensive weapon, a versatile back who can help both the run and the pass games. And there's no doubt, Jeremiyah Love's an absolute dog. Like, you just throw on his, typical YouTube highlight reel. Just look up Jeremiyah Love highlights. You guys can see it with your own eyes. This guy's a freak. He's been carrying Notre Dame for the last 2 seasons. He is one of the most explosive players in this draft. He's one of the best offensive players in this draft. However, this pick makes no sense for the Minnesota Vikings. It makes 0 sense because the head coach and his offensive scheme. Now, the only way I would be all in on this move if it meant KOC is going to change his ways. If you told me, hey, Patrick, Kevin O'Connell, if the Vikings get Jeremiyah Love, they're going to be an under center, run first team. Sign me the hell up. Because could you imagine if you had Jeremiyah Love in the backfield, Jefferson on the perimeter, Addison on the perimeter, and you had a head coach who loved to run the football? It doesn't matter who's that quarterback because this team would be successful offensively, but KOC is not going to change his ways. And the best example of that, is what he's done this year. The fact that in 2024, he threw the ball 58% of the time. In a season where also you won 14 games, so you're ahead in a lot of these games, still was throwing the ball over the lot. The fact that you have a higher increase this year compared to last with a rookie quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, who's the youngest quarterback in the NFL, and a UDFA and Max Brosmer getting starts, and you're throwing the ball. I understand it's only 1% more, but that's an absolute crime right there from Kevin O'Connell. So listen, if we had Kyle Shanahan, if we had Ben Johnson, if we had Sean McVay, and Jeremiyah Love was there at pick number 11, man, sign me up. I'd be all in on it. I think the Vikings would be getting a gift from the NFL if you would drop to Minnesota, but it all comes down to Kevin O'Connell. So my answer to this question, I say should have a third option, or just like an asterisk right there, like type D for draft, only if Kevin O'Connell is going to change his ways. But you guys, let me know your thoughts. Would you draft Jeremiyah Love if you're the Vikings front office? Give me a D for draft. Give me a P for pass. You guys, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I would do it. Like, he's a hell of a player, but again, it only comes down to if KOC is going to change the way he does things in this offense. All right, coming up next year, I do want to look at some other names on Mel Kiper's draft big board. There's a lot of good ones out there, and this draft, the Vikings could go BPA. They could go position in need, so we'll kind of decipher all these guys here in a second. But before we do so, I got to tell you guys about today's sponsor, and that is Factor Meals. Now, if you guys head to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off and plug in promo code VikingsChat50 off, we'll hook you guys up with 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 whole year. Now, the fall season always feels like a reset between back to school, busy routines, and shorter days. Finding time to cook can be tough. That's why I love Factor. The chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals make it easy to stay on track and enjoy something comforting and delicious, no matter how hectic the season gets. And why I love Factor is because they got more variety and more meals. Choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp, and no extra cost. And they also help you support your wellness goals. Enjoy even more GLP-1 friendly meals and new Mediterranean diet options packed with protein and good-for-you fats. So head on over to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off. Plug in promo code VikingsChat50 off. We'll hook you guys up with 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code VikingsChat50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. This offer is only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. All right, let's dive into Mel Kiper's big board here. We're just going to go over a couple of names that are kind of in the slot where the Vikings are projected to be drafting in that 6 to 12 range. We're going to start off with a big fella up front, a guy who was supposed to be a top 5 pick before the year, but Mel Kiper's got him slotted in now at number 6, and that being Peter Woods, defensive tackle from Clemson. Now, this guy is a physical force. He kind of does remind me of Christian Wilkins when he was coming out of Clemson, just a big body, can be a great run stuffer. He can also, I think he's got more potential as a pass rusher as well than most people lead on, but he had 27 tackles so far this season in 2025, 2 TFLs, 2 sacks, 9 QB pressures. So this guy, I mean, he's a weapon on the interior. I think the Vikings could consider going defensive tackle here, especially if you do end up cutting Javon Hargrave or cutting or trading Jonathan Allen. So watch out for him. And then how about a wide receiver? How about Jordan Tyson here? Easy comparison for Vikings fans. This guy reminds me of Stephon Diggs a whole lot. Just the way he runs his routes, just the way he kind of navigates in and out of his breaks, like his hip fluidity really does remind me of Stephon Diggs. And one thing I always loved about Diggs is his late hands. Jordan Tyson's got the same thing. And you may be saying, well, Patrick, why would the Vikings draft the receiver with a premium draft pick? Well, let's just say you trade Jordan Addison before free agency. And if you trade Jordan Addison, like, you'll probably have a need at the wide receiver position. And I think Jordan Tyson would be a hell of a pick. I think he'd be a great compliment to Justin Jefferson. You would probably create one of the better wide receiver duos in the National Football League. And Jordan Tyson, man, he's just got, I mean, he's just got dog mentality to him. Like, I love the way he plays. There are some, injury concerns, some character concerns there. But hopefully with Keenan Me Cardell, the wide receiver coach, he'll get the most out of him. But how about another great wide receiver? This wide receiver class is honestly sneaky loaded here. And how about a Carnell Tate? Now, another easy comparison for Carnell Tate. He reminds me of T. Higgins a whole lot. So if you kind of want to replicate what Chase and Higgins have going on in Cincinnati, Carnell Tate's your guy. Big body, boundary wide receiver. He's got super long wingspan. He's a great 50-50 catch guy. And he's got 39 catches on the year, going for over 700 yards, 18.2 yards per catch with also 7 touchdowns on the season. But again, perimeter wide receiver. I don't know if he has the versatility of a guy like, Jordan Addison or like a Jordan Tyson. So I would assume Jefferson would hop in the slot a whole lot more if this would be the hypothetical pick for the Minnesota Vikings. But watch out for him. But my dream selection from Minnesota, and probably a dream selection for a lot of teams in the NFL, is the safety out of Ohio State. Another one of the best players in the country, probably the best defensive player in the college football right now, and that being Caleb Downs. This guy's a freak of nature, man. Started off his college career at Alabama, transferred to Ohio State, and this guy's just a playmaker. He can play in the run well. He's a versatile player as well. He can hop down in the box. He can guard slot wide receivers. He's just a playmaker, man. Like, you can blitz him. You can drop him in the deep halves. You can play him at some Mike linebacker, some will linebacker, literally any position on the defense he can play, and he would be he would be a dream for Brian Flores and the defensive crew for the Minnesota Vikings. But how about an offensive tackle? Now, only reason we're talking about offensive tackle here is because of Brian O'Neill. Now, Brian O'Neill, he's been very good this year. He's been very consistent, but maybe the Vikings, to get under the cap, maybe they end up trading him. Maybe they end up, restructuring or potentially cutting him. So Spencer Faenow of Utah, he's a hell of a prospect. A lot of guys in the NFL really do think his game's going to translate well to the next level. So that's another guy to look out on. But more guys from Mel Kiper's big board. We talked about Jeremiyah Love. Again, it's only going to come down to if KOC is going to change his ways. Then you got a smaller slot-ish kind of an Amon-Ra St. Brown style of wide receiver, and Mekhi Lemon. I think Mekhi Lemon's an absolute dog as well, so watch out for him. But Francis Muwaga, another offensive tackle from Miami, he's a freak. But this guy, Kenyon Sadiq, freak of nature, man. You go turn on his highlight tape, you're going to see this guy hurdle about 15 dudes in about 2 minutes. He's just got a tenacious play style. He's honestly the complete opposite of TJ Hawkinson right now, where he's just a freak athlete. He's physical. He likes to get after it. He's definitely got to improve as a run blocker, but Oregon's also a physical football team because of their head coach, Dan Lanning. So I think he would add some physicality to this Vikings offense. But I think there's a lot of positions of need for this team. I think safety is definitely creeping up as one of them. I think tight end slowly is going to be one of the top positions of need because I think we can all say they're probably going to cut TJ Hawkinson. But you guys let me know, what is the biggest position of need on the Vikings? Drop your thoughts down below in the comment section, and we'll get on out of here. As always, SKOL Vikes.